2024. How's it going? It's got to be going pretty good because our green ghost is here. Ha-ha! Hi, it's Romania Black, and I'm just a bit giddy because we're on episode 9 of Heaven Ishel's Blessing, season 2 of the donghua, and oh my god, they actually titled, all of these episodes have been untitled for the most part, but they gave a title to episode 8 on this streaming service that I'm watching, and they said the green ghost. The green ghost Rong. I was like, oh, we'll give that episode a title because it deserves it. I'm super excited. As you probably guessed, the green ghost is, Rong is exactly the type of trash king that I adore already. He's been bleeped. He's kind of gross, but he looks charming. He's got drip. He's got swagger, but he's also kind of a big worm that you just want Hua Chong to just press into the ground. So he's everything. I like Rong a lot. He's a great contrast to Hua Chong, who's very, Hua Chong is like a calm water. Like it's just like the calm before the storm is Hua Chong, our crimson rain salt flower. And then you have Rong, who's just the polar opposite, is just like spouting off stuff left and right, and it's great. Meanwhile, Shilian is gathering his orphanage of wayward children, including this little Goozy, and preparing to bring him back with little Long Ying and starting an orphanage, and Hua Chong's like, I didn't sign up for this, but okay. I like that MXTX gives these protagonists who really don't have time for children and need to sort out their own problems, but they're like, do you want an orphanage of kids too on top of all your trauma? Here you go. It's like, no, wait, no. So I'm really excited for this episode, as you can tell. But I have lots of comments that need to wait until the spoiler corner, but there are 2 that I want to shout out before we start. They're both from Anime Annie, and I think they are important to note before we begin this episode, in case if it needs to be talking about later on. The man licking the salty corpses in the last episode, I was like, who would do that? Why would you do that? But Anime Annie pointed out that there's like salt on the corpses. It's kind of like when you're drying jerky, oddly enough, so maybe they just lick the salt. But I'm like, that's like if you just had salt on like raw deer meat or something. You're like, oh yeah, like you just don't do that. Dude, what's the deal? Maybe he was just like anxious in the moment, wasn't thinking about it. And then the other thing that Anime Annie pointed out was that it has been noted in episode 4 of season 1 that Shilian has ascended 3 times. The first was as a martial god, or a god that fights, has prowess as a warrior. The second was as a quote-unquote plague god, which we don't know much about that. That remains to be seen. And the third is the junk collecting god that we see now. He's our little scrap collector, our sweet cinnamon bun. So Shilian's got a past. We just don't know it yet. We know that he's been a warrior and he's caused great misfortune, but right now he's just a scrap collecting old man. So that's all we know about Shilian at this point, and Hua Chong seems to have his number. So I will be honest, my parents have a cold. They got a little bit of a cold over break. I think it's from a relative. And I have a little bit of a scratchy throat. That's literally the only thing. Of course it's the only thing. Nothing else is wrong with me except a scratchy throat. Not that I use it for anything on this channel. So I will probably be drinking lots of tea between now and then, and lots of honey, and gargling lots of salt water, so to try to get this all mapped up, but what can we do? But in any case, I am excited to get into this episode and see what all we get. I do want to give a shout out over to our philanthropy tier over on Patreon to say thank you this year for starting us off great and being super supportive. I really appreciate it. So a special shout out over to our philanthropy tier, which includes Alex Cornejo, Anime Annie, Anna Danger Zone, Edgar, Eric, Kiri, Destiny Marie, Dana, Be Happy, who is our current MXTX moderator, as well as Loisa G, Linden, Matthew Palfinier, Shimoyama, Sunspots, Trails, and Translucent Men. Thank you all so very much for your support. I deeply appreciate it. And for everybody on Patreon and those that have subscribed on YouTube, thank you for the support. I hope that I can keep creating great content that you will support in 2024. All of my love. But I couldn't wait anymore. I was like, before this gets any worse, I might as well look at this episode and be able to fangirl and have a great time because I'm really enjoying this season. It's great. You know what else is great? The fact that this episode is 26 minutes. Yes! It's like a Christmas miracle. Christmas came a little bit late. Last week it was way too short with just 20 minutes, and I was like, I hope that they at least increase the amount of minutes for this last season, and lo and behold, it is 26 minutes, which is more than it was last season, so I won't complain. But we'll see what all is involved with this and go from there. So I hope you all enjoy this episode. I'm super, super excited, but we're not going to waste any more time. We are going to start Heaven Official's Blessing, episode 9 of season 2, and we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Had to get some tea. It's Constant Comet, so it has a red, label for Hua Chong, but it's decaffeinated, so it has a little bit of green in a green mug for freaking Chi Rong. Oh my god, this episode! Ah! So yes, I can't really scream right now, but basically, there's gonna be a lot of spoilers, so the spoiler corner may be a little bit excessive on this episode, but this is my favorite episode, and I'm sorry if my reaction was not very good, but this is my favorite episode of the season, because I was just, like, everything about Chi Rong is perfection. I am in awe. They saved all the anime budget, all the donghua budget, they saved it for this episode, to animate Chi Rong and Hua Chong being amazing. Oh my god. Let's talk about it, shall we? My poor glasses are foggy. Oh my god, this episode was amazing. I loved every moment of it. It's going to be really hard for you donghua onlys for me to keep it all in, but I'm going to do my best. Right? So, one thing that I will note that I hadn't really noticed in this episode until right now is that Guzi is on the ground level. For some reason in the last episode, I don't know if my spatial awareness is just not very good, but for some reason it felt in the last episode like Shilian took Guzi and took him up to a higher place and just put him up there, and I was like, that's not safe for a child, Shilian, but I didn't question it. But here it's on the ground level, so I was like, oh, I guess in just the destruction of everything and everything going crazy makes sense. Why should we be surprised? So, oh my god, Guzi is also absolutely adorable, but of course, because they're a precocious little child, they see their dad getting drug off by one of the guards, and they have to run off as well. Can we talk about Hua Chong? Can we? Oh my god. Mark me up as horny and aroused. I'm just like, and terrified, because if there's one thing you don't do, you don't make fun of Shilian in front of Hua Chong. He doesn't like it. It's not his game. Also, I freaking love the idea that we see Chi Rong lift his head up, and in one blink of his eye, the donghua does it, the animation does it so perfectly, is that he has his like weary eye, and you see San Long, and like the belt's hung low and is like cocked to the side, and the clothes are kind of ill-fitting because he's supposed to be a gangly teenager, and then he just like blinks, and he blinks his eye, and it's like, oh no, it's a freaking man. it's Hua Chong in daddy form, come to have his vengeance. Oh my god. Yes, please. And he's like, oh shit, it's Hua Chong. And he just looks so pissed. Like, the way they do the shadows on Hua Chong's face, it is enough to just make you go, okay, nope, it's fine. I will behave next time, please, sir, no more. And of course, what I love about it is what's so jarring about Chi Rong is he's really pretty. Like, it's just Chi Rong's face looks kind of like Shilian, which now, it's been so hard to hold it in. Now we can say it, they're cousins. I've been holding back for some time now. We can say they're cousins, so that's on the table. So he looks a little bit like Shilian, but what I like to imagine is that Chi Rong is like kind of bastardizing Shilian in Hua Chong's eyes, because he looks kind of like Shilian, but different enough. And so Hua Chong's like, how dare you? Like, the purple lipstick, the green eyeshadow, the bright green eyes. I love the green eyes, and they contrast Hua Chong's red eyes. It's perfect. But it's so hard to not, like, you have this foul, like, slimy voice coming out of Chi-Rong's mouth, and he's, like, cursing, and he's laughing maniacally, and they're animating the hell out of him, but it's so hard to, like, be like, oh yeah, Trash King, when he looks that good, you're just like, oh no, he's hot! It's like, why'd they make Chi-Rong so attractive? I'm like, oh no! But Hua Chong makes up for it, right? Oh my god, I just love it. And him being like, you snuck in. And he's like, you haven't answered my question. Like, Hua Chong looks so deadly in this moment. And he's just like absolutely livid. And Shilian, meanwhile, Shilian comes in. He's like, oh, please, put my cousin down. He's trash, but we don't need to resort to violence like this. I don't want you to look bad just on account of my trashy cousin. Oh my god. And there's a meme that I've seen that's like been a ship dynamic before, and it's like it has two individuals, and one has this murderous aura, and the other one has this sunshine energy, and it's like dangerous. And yeah, Shilian is a former martial god. He's strong as hell. So him like pimp slapping his cousin. Oh my god, we'll get to that point. But all of this was amazing. But all Shilian has to do is just give Hua Chong a touch and being like, Sun Long, let's not do this. Like, calm down. It's not worth it. He's not worth your time. I like Shilian's just like, look, he's family. He's trash. He's not worth your time. I love that. Shilian's just like, I've had 800 years of anger management therapy. We're fine now. And Hua Chong's like, mine isn't cutting it. I love it that Hua Chong just embodies being angry on Shilian's behalf, right? And then he touches Shilian to freeze him in place. Now, I'll be honest, no spoilers, but I forgot this happened. I was like, oh yeah, he does freeze him in place because he wants Chi-Rong to be able to explain himself, right? That's how we do. But man, he holds nothing back. Like, I just love the dark, murderous aura. And poor Shilian the whole time is like, I can't do anything. I don't like this, please. But I like that Chi-Rong says, did I ever provoke you when I was eating at home? I love that Chi-Rong's like, I was just sitting down, minding my own business, having a nice meal made out of humans, and you come barging into my house, wreck my dinner, ask me about shit I don't remember from 800 years ago. What the fudge? Which it's not been 800 years. I think it's been just a couple hundred years. But he's just like, I don't know what I did to you. I love that Chi-Rong tries to play it as if he's done nothing wrong, which it is kind of funny that Chi-Rong honestly wasn't provoking Hua Chong necessarily, wasn't even provoking Shilian necessarily. He's been after Pei Ming this whole time. But it's just funny that he literally was not provoking Hua Chong, but Hua Chong's like, nope, I found him, gotta take out the trash. And Chi-Rong's like, I didn't do anything to you. It's actually absolutely hilarious. And him saying it's none of his business. And he keeps asking him the same question. And then again, Chi-Rong's like, well, don't you have the ability to read history books? Oh my god, I want you all to understand that I have an affinity for trash kings. And it's just like, there's something about their characters they're slimy and hilarious and they're garbage, but they're just somewhat endearing by it all. And Chi-Rong is the epitome of this in this episode. I freaking love it. And then I just like that poor Hua Chong's like, okay. And that's when he says Lan Chu killed him. And I just love Lan Chu like burrowing out of Shilian's bosom, and he's like, what the fuck you say? The fudge you say? And then I like that Hua Chong's like, okay, we're good. And I love Chi-Rong being like, the fudge is this? I love Chi-Rong just like, what are all these people doing in my house? Why'd we come to wreck stuff? What have we done? And then the puff of smoke, and there's Lan Chu. Now, Lan Chu was animated very well in this episode. Chi-Rong was animated really well. Hua Chong and Shilian were animated really well. This episode was animated really well. I loved it. I thought everyone's expressions, the animation, the coloring, the shadows, they were all done really, really well. So, there are these questions of, we have Yongin and we have Shanla, two kingdoms that have been superseded by one another and are trying to coexist harmoniously. And Shilian, who's from Shanla, encounters and has been the Goshi for Lan Chanchu, who's from Yongin. And we have this idea that it's possible, Qirong is spreading this idea that it was basically the people of Shanla rallying up against Yongin and planning behind the scenes. And Shi Lian is trying to take credit for everything, saying, no, it was me. I orchestrated this. It's my fault. You were right to be mad at me. And Qirong's saying, well, now, who the heck is this guy? I don't know. I'm just telling you that the people of Shanla were going to revolt against the people of Yongin. And Lan Chanchu, poor bean, doesn't know who to believe because he and Anla were friends. So, the big question that we seem to be going to find out next episode is, well, who's telling the truth, who's lying, and what even is the truth? I like that Shi Lian's like, what does it matter? Like, let's just let it go, right? But Hua Chong seems very adamant that we need to know, that Lan Chanchu needs to know the truth of what went down because it needs to be known. Now, we can make lots of guesses as to why Hua Chong wants Lan Chanchu to know the truth, but I do like it used as a narrative tool for us, the audience, being like, yes, let's figure out exactly what's going on. Because as far as we know with Shi Lian's always been this strong but really kind character, and just murdering Lan Chanchu's parents seems like why would he do that? So it's important that we're figuring this out. And then Qirong being related to Shi Lian, and thus from Shanla, kind of adds to the mix of all this, right? But damn, I also love Qirong just calling out Lan Chanchu about his friendship, being like, oh, you still like Care Bears? You believe in the magic of friendship? Like, just, what a troll. What a trash king. You're nauseatingly hypocritical. And poor Lan Chanchu is like, my family really did want to help unite the people of Yongin and Shanla. And poor Shi Lian, he like wants to say something, and Hua Chong's like, let him finish. Let Qirong finish first. And then, it's so disturbing because Qirong looks so much like Shi Lian that there are moments where there are moments from the side profile, especially with the way that his hair falls and the way that he looks. It's like, no, he looks like Shi Lian, but just different enough that it's like almost an uncanny valley effect. It's crazy. And then poor Shi Lian just has to sit there and watch Lan Chanchu get mad. I did really like the way that they animated him getting mad, and like the screen was starting to vibrate and the color saturation was getting all askew. That part was really, really well done. I liked that a lot. But he's like, your foolishness spanning 100 years. They just animate him so well. And he's just like Qirong is so flamboyant and dramatical. He's like a theater kid, you know? He's like, he majored in theater and this is just his lifestyle. I love it. He's like that person you would never want to be friends with, but you'd watch from a distance endlessly. That's how I feel about Qirong. We would never get along in real life, but I would love to sit there and just sit back and watch him on screen and be like, okay, he's crazy, but I love it. And he's like, why would we befriend him? And I love the whole time that Hua Chong is just sitting there like, I'm letting him speak, but I'm ready for Shi Lian to get back and be able to talk again. And he's like, all of us from Shanla are disgusted by Yongin. Now that seems like a big generalization. And Shi Lian's like, please, I want to say something. And then Hua Chong is like, Qirong is saying they deserve to be cut into 1,000 pieces and thrown into boiling order in oil if anyone liked you. And poor Lan Chanchu, like having to hear this. And that's when he says, well, but what about Shi Lian, who is Feng Xin, the Goshi? What about his involvement? And I love that Qirong's like, who, him? He's like, who would be with him? What's the deal? And then Lan Chanchu's like, but Anla planned the massacre, but I saw the Goshi do it. And I love Qirong's just like, Qirong's face where he's like, I don't know him. He doesn't even go here. I love the way he's drawn. It's absolutely hysterical. He's like, who knows what he was up to? He's like, Lan Chanchu, listen carefully. He's like, your Yongin's golden feast was a bloodbath made by us of the Shanla people. And I like that kind of nail in the coffin being like, I like that nail in the coffin where it's just like Lan Chanchu has supposedly, he killed Shi Lian, supposedly, with his own hands. And he's like, did I do the wrong thing? And Shi Lian's like, like just sitting there like, Hua Chong, help me. Just some of the expressions though that Chi-Rong gives where he's like, will you promote me to devastation? Will you make me a supreme ghost? Can I do it by doing all this? What a absolute maniacal. I love him. I love it. It's great. Everything about him, I could not love Chi-Rong more. Just the way he's animated, the way he laughs, the way that he like is animated and drawn. And then he's like, who is this guy? What gets me, though, is the fact that he doesn't recognize Shilian as his cousin, but I think it's just because of the disguise that Hua Chong had placed on him. We, the audience, know that it's Shilian, and Lan Chu knows, but Chi-Rong doesn't fully realize until Shilian does his Sailor Moon magical girl transformation and becomes Shilian again. And he's like, oh. And the expression that Chi-Rong has, the expression he has when he realizes that it's Shilian, is absolutely amazing. Like the way that he looks at him and he's like, you are Fang Shen. And then the way that he smiles and realizes who it is. It's like very Sweeney Todd where he's like, don't I know you? Oh my God, freaking love it. So yeah, and then of course, when he starts getting onto him, he's like, oh, well, isn't it funny? Isn't it exciting? I should have known you deserved it, or maybe I overestimated you. And then I love that Hua Chong's like, quit making fun of my gege. Oh my God, this episode is the best animated episode of the season. It's just great. And I love that Chi-Rong is like, stop smashing me into the ground. I do love that Shilian doesn't even have to touch Hua Chong's fist to stop him. He just does this and it stops midpoint. And he's like, he's not worth it. He's just a dumpster fire. Leave him alone. Oh my God. I freaking love this episode so much. Just the expressions. Oh my God. And he's like, oh dear cousin. Oh, like once you find out that they're related, it's just like, oh my God. He's like, your holy light illuminates the world. You're flawless. You're pure. Like, oh my God, that whole animation sequence where he's like, you're just this. You're the most amazing. Oh my God. Give me the rest of this for the whole series. I will gladly take it. I just want to fangirl out of my seat. I'm sorry for the Discord that's going to get all of the screenshots of everything. But then when he says, you're such a failure, and Shilian, he's like, I am a failure. I'm like, my heart breaks for him. Because I'm like, Shilian, no. He's like, but I'm not like you. Only 800 years and you're already a wrath. That is the tea right there. Shilian is like the master of backhanded compliments. Because it's like, Chi-Rong's been trash talking Shilian this whole time. And talking about the statue that he's made, Hua Chong is like, I hate that statue so much. Stop it, because it's demeaning Shilian. And Shilian's like, it's a very well-crafted statue. The taste is just poor. And then he's like, wow, well, I haven't really accomplished anything, but, 800 years and you've already become a wrath. Which is hilarious because, who else is also a wrath ghost? Banyu and Shanji, who met in the first episode. So we know that Chi-Rong is the only one of the four calamities that's not a supreme. And so he's just like, oh, and I love, again, reminding me of that meme where he gets mad and he points between the two of them. And we see, like, what's so amazing is that he points between the two of them and you have Shilian on one side being like, and Hua Chong is like, what? Like, they both are, like, have this, like, just shady as shit aura. And then Chi-Rong is like, you're both awful for different reasons. Just like, I love it. And Shilian is the master of kill with kindness. And Hua Chong is like, I will just kill you. Love it. Love all of this. But then, when he says, is the holy light shining above your head, has it blinded him? Like saying, like making fun of Hua Chong. And he's like, look at my perceptiveness. It seems like he was originally blind. Making fun of his eye being cut out. And that's when Shilian, like, just smacks the shit out of him. Like, that, you felt that smack. You felt it. Right? Oh. And for Hua Chong to be like, he beat up that dumpster fire on my behalf. Like, Hua Chong's like, he beat him up for me? Oh my god. And then, it is great. Like, you felt that slap heard around the world. And he's like, he actually hit me. He who pities heaven and people and won't step on an ant actually dared to give me a hard time and scold me. And Long she's like, is this person crazy? And Shilian's like, yes, he is. Don't listen to anything that he says. He's not to be trusted. We do not allow him on nice furniture. No. Yeah, which is something to say. I feel like for me, it's because Shilian and him are related that he feels he can smack Chi-Rong around because they are related. He's like, it's family. It's fine. We can do this. It's okay. But man, also, even the part where they talk about dissecting Shanla's body and we see Chi-Rong looking like mysterious yet somewhat ridiculously handsome in the shadows. It's like, is this all a fabricated version of Chi-Rong's story that he's telling to make himself look like the dramatic, like, I dissected his body and discovered this thing, oh my god? Or is he telling the truth and he didn't actually kill Anla and it was possibly Shilian? We don't know. Also, it's really weird that Anla, even because they're related to Shilian and Chi-Rong, looks like them as well. That Anla bloodline, I tell you what, them genetics, they be strong. But poor, the idea that poor Lan Chanchu, he doesn't understand, like, one, why would Shilian kill his parents? What's going on? But then if he killed his friend Anla too, what the hell's the deal? Why? Like, I feel bad for Lan Chanchu because he clearly is very confused and he's being fed, like, do I believe Shilian, who's being very cryptic and not explaining himself in great detail and seems to just want to avoid the subject. He can't really ask Hua Chong because Hua Chong doesn't know anything. And then Chi-Rong seems to be insane, but is telling this completely different story. So poor Lan Chanchu, he's like, who do I believe? Like, what do I believe? And have I been doing things wrong? Have I been doing things right? And Shilian's tried to tell him, he's like, look, it's, you're doing the right thing. It's fine. And that's when Shilian goes to threaten Chi-Rong, and Lan Chanchu's like, no, I want to hear him speak. What does he have to say? And why are you trying to silence him? And Shilian's like, he's just confusing you. But then it makes things even more complicated because Hua Chong is like, wants Chi-Rong to speak even though he hates him, so it's a big old mess of confusion, right? I do like that we get this flashback, though. We get this flashback of Lan Chanchu and Shilian walking through the market streets. Now, the one guy there, I want to talk about him. Kaylin V pointed him out. Kaylin V pointed him out on YouTube. I didn't think about this, but apparently the guy that's following him, I thought in the last episode or two he was Anla, but that's not the case. He is actually just a attendant that follows Lan Chanchu around. And Kaylin V pointed out that if you go back to the first episode of the season where Lan Chanchu meets Shilian, you can see that guy there with him, reminding him about the meetings. So apparently he ascended along with Lan Chanchu, which is super cute. And he's like his attendant up in the heavenly court being like, make sure you go to your meetings. I want to ship them together. I want to ship this random nobody who's his attendant with Lan Chanchu. I want to ship them together. He seems like a resourceful fellow that's very kind and considerate. That seems like a healthy ship. Why don't they be together, huh? Why not them? I'm all for it. But apparently they're the same one that was with him. And I'm glad we get to see him in this episode too. I want to ship them together. Shilian cannot help but stand out though. When he has the Goshi robes on, he looks so regal and bold in those bold reds and blues and navies. And then we see the little mask. Now, it is known in the fandom that in the fandom you have Shilian and Hua Chong are represented by a ferret and a fox. And so that's why, because the fox mask has a little pirate, eye patch on it. And then Shilian has the little flower symbol for Shanla. So that's really cute, right? I think that was adorable. They put that little plug in there to be like, isn't that funny? Ha ha, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But yeah, so the purse gets stolen and the woman with the flower symbol is clearly from Shanla. And so at the end, the guy tries to get onto him for stealing it, but the grandpa recognized the purse. And then I love that Shi Lian, like, he just dips in and grabs the plates and keeps them from falling. Like, that part was so cute. But I like that we get little hints that this is Shanla having the festival, the Shanla people, because of all the, like, painting the flowers and the arts and everything, which Lan Chanchu notes later. That part was really cute. And then this grandpa coming up and kind of, like, scolding the man for stealing and trying to blame it on Lan Chanchu. I really like that. I think it's a nice callback to Modao Zushi, because in Modao Zushi, there's, like, a lot of little scenes like this with the common folk in the towns and kind of, like, altering perceptions of what you think about them. And MXTX kind of uses that in both this and Heaven Official's Blessing, which is really cute. But yeah, Lan Chanchu's little attendant brings her back to get the purse. He's a super cute kid. I'm shipping him with Lan Chanchu for sure. I would ship him and this girl together, but he ends up ascending and she does not, so it doesn't work out. So yeah, but then I think one of the most fun things about this little episode and this little scene is seeing Shi Lian on the bleachers. He feels like Shi Lian's 800 years old, right? So even though he looks young, he's an old man. Him and Hua Chong, it's old man Yowie, basically. But I like that Shi Lian kind of feels his age in this flashback, even though this is from, like, in the past several hundred years. I feel like Shi Lian feels his age here. He feels like a mentor, and he feels a little bit different. There's a different air about him as the Goshi. He feels more mature. He feels more stern. He's lowered his voice. He just feels like a different person, the Shi Lian that's the, like, cinnamon bun scrap collector that looks like a little angel of sunshine that we see in the present, right? It's clear that he has more on his mind and he's being more cautious or more concerned with Lan Chanchu than he is in the present, right? Which I think is very interesting. But yeah, then we see, and so I like Lan Chanchu comments about, you know, the people of Shanla, and he's like, wow, I didn't know about these festivals and that they did all this stuff with the arts and everything. I want to come back here. And that's when Shi Lian says the most important thing you can do as a ruler is take care of your people. And that includes both Yongin and Shanla. So no matter where your subjects are from, they are your subjects. Treat them kindly and make sure that you treat them equally. And then as he's telling him that, we see Rong, same drip, same robe, same everything he wore back then, showing up to who we believe is Anla, who looks kind of like Shi Lian and Rong. And that's where the episode ends. So yeah, fun times. Fun times. I think it's no secret that I really like Rong's character at this point. I'm really excited. I'm very excited about this episode. I'm very excited that we still have at least 2 or 3 more episodes left. I don't know if we're getting an OVA with this season or not. Last season we had 11 episodes in an OVA. I think we have 12 episodes this season. So if we got 12 in an OVA, that'd be even better. But even if the OVA came later this year in 2024, that'd be great. So we'll just have to wait and see, I suppose. But I'm excited either way. So I've got some spoilers that I want to talk about. So we're going to examine those. But I hope you all enjoyed me fangirling and having a rip-snorting good time. I'm going to be taking lots of screenshots to share on Patreon and the Discord, so that's exciting. But meanwhile, if you're not sticking around for the spoiler corner, I hope you all enjoyed this episode. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yes, I'll be back next week with episode 10 of Heaven Official's Blessing. For the spoiler corner. I love him. I love Hua Chong. I love Rong. Oh my god. I was so worried going into this season with Rong that they weren't going to do him justice. I was so worried because Rong is a lot. He is a lot. He curses. He's flamboyant. He's vile. He's crazy. He's maniacal. He laughs. He looks kind of like Shi Lian. And I was like, they're either one of two things are going to happen. They're either going to tone him down to make him more palatable, or he's going to be the darling of the season and they're going to love animating the hell out of him. And I'm so glad it was the latter. Oh my God, I was in all of this episode. My mouth was on the floor, I'm sure. I was just gobsmacked. I was just absolutely in awe of him and how they animated him, the way that they made his movements, his hair. I'm obsessed with him. The only person that comes close is Hua Chong, who they animated the hell out of him this episode, making him look pissed. And I was like, oh, but even Lan Chan-chu looked really good. His expression, Shi-Lian was like, and man, they added a lot of little tiny nods to foreshadow what is to come for us novel readers. Oh my gosh, there are so many little tiny things that I was like, oh my God. So let's talk about this. Like I said, for some reason I thought Guzi was like on top of a mountain or something, or a ledge, but he's not. They are foreshadowing Guzi running off with his dad. We know Chi-Rong is going to end up invading the dad's body and inhabiting him. I think it's very smart that the donghua has not really shown us the dad's face. So maybe because of that, it will make that moment with the dad more of a surprise when we find out it's Chi-Rong possessing him. And maybe they'll make the dad look more like Chi-Rong to make it make more sense and be more cohesive for the audience. I don't know. I'm really curious to know what point we're going to get to at this point with the season. Because here's my thoughts. I'm sure several of you agree, I would really like the last moment in the series to be Shi-Lian going to strike down Chi-Rong in the mausoleum. I don't know if we're going to get to that point. I think next episode they're going to finish the flashback with Lan Chan-chu and Anla. Finish that flashback. And I feel like the episode is maybe going to end. Episode 10 might end with Lan Chan-chu getting mad and like grabbing Chi-Rong to boil him. And then episode 11 will be the boiling and the aftermath of it all. And maybe that's when Feng Shen and Mu Qing show up. Maybe. And then that would leave episode 12 to be the final aftermath where Shi-Lian and Hua Chong kind of part ways, and then Shi-Lian goes to the mausoleum, and we could end it there. I wondered if they would get into book 2, but I feel like if they do an OVA, that would be the chance for that to happen. Or they'll just end with Shi-Lian going to strike down with Chi-Rong and seeing what happens there. I don't know. I don't know. I really hope it ends with Chi-Rong and Shi-Lian in the mausoleum, especially since they've built him up so much in this season already, but we'll see, right? The donghua the manhwa at this point has just ended with Shi-Lian and Hua Chong having the conversation, which I don't know if the manhwa has fully ended entirely. It seems like it's at a stopping point there, so I don't know if that's where the season's going to end. I hope it ends at the mausoleum, but I don't know. The thing about that is if you do that, then you need like a post-credit scene showing that you're going into the back, you're going to go in the flashback for season 3. You got to have that. So I'm going to be curious to see how they accomplish that and what they end up doing. That's going to be interesting. So I do have a couple comments I want to talk about before we dive into this episode. Spoiler corners though. One such thing is that Kaylin V also talked about that Lan Chan-chu is a Budawang doll and not necessarily a Daruma doll. Yeah, we talked about this during the novel reactions. I know it's a Budawang. For some reason, Star Ember in the manhwa made it look more like a Daruma doll. And in the English translation, I think it was maybe called a Daruma doll. I don't know for sure. I remember we had like an inside joke that something looked like a Daruma doll, and I think it was the manhwa. So I just decided to keep with that. But yes, I know the appropriate term is Budawang. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I know I can say Daruma right, though. And so I was like, I remember in the novel reactions me saying, I'm just going to call it Daruma, and if I'm wrong, you all know I'm wrong, right? Empty Cicada, SQQ, LBH 3 and 4, both of them talked about Mu Qing and Feng Shen, the dialogue from episode 8 and how weird it was, and they were making note that it was mainly talking about how the corpses hanging in the cave, that Mu Qing, because of his job as a cleaner and a sweeper, would have been disgusted to see all that, and that's why Shi-Lian brought it up, right? And then Feng Shen curses a lot like Chi-Rong, but Feng Shen doesn't have a lot of ill intent behind his cursing like Chi-Rong does. But Annie made a very big point that I was like, oh my. And Annie kind of agreed with both SQQLBH and MT Cicada, but they also said, back in season 1, Fu Yao, which is the puppet that's played by, Mu Qing's doppelganger, Fu Yao noted in the forest in season 1, seeing all the corpses, was grossed out by it. Anime Annie wondered if maybe the donghua team was kind of foreshadowing that Shilian's always known that Fu Yao and Nanfang were Mu Qing and Feng Xin, and we're just like letting it slip and being like, oh, we're gonna reveal this kind of way early. I don't know if that's true or not, but that kind of blew my mind, and I was like, that would be amazing if it was just like a little slip that the donghua team was giving us to be like, wait, why would Shilian say that? And be like, he's known all along. I don't know, but I thought that was really funny. And so then, yeah, can we talk about this episode? So yeah, Chi-Rong, I love him. I love everything about him. Hua Chong being completely pissed off. The way they animated it is perfect. I honestly am at the point in the novel where Hua Chong is fighting Junwoo, and I'm like, the expressions that Hua Chong gave Chi-Rong, if that's that, I cannot imagine what expressions he's going to be giving Junwoo. Also, everybody pointing out in the Japanese dub that Shilian's voice actor is Levi from Attack on Titan, and Junwoo's is Zeke. I feel how I feel about Levi and Zeke as a ship in Attack on Titan is how I feel about Shilian and Junwoo as a ship in Heaven Official's Blessing. So I find that highly ironic and hilarious to me. So that's funny. I'm like, what the fudge? But yeah, everything about this episode, the way they animated Chi-Rong and Hua Chong is hilarious and amazing and gagging, and I just love it completely. I could sit here and just stare at it all day. I definitely feel for Lan Chanchu in these flashbacks. I'm like, it's really hard to watch him be so sad and so confused, and Shilian's just like, I honestly did forget that Hua Chong froze him for this conversation. I forgot that happened and was like, oh no. But you can also see in the background, there's like different people like boiling in the pots by the monster that's Chi-Rong. Like some of the paintings are almost giving away what's going to happen in the background, which is really funny to me. But yeah, Shilian, I cannot wait for the flashback to see Chi-Rong as a kid, to see Shilian younger. I can't wait to see all of this. It's amazing. But the moment that Chi-Rong recognizes Shilian is everything I could have hoped for. I love Shilian's little magical girl transformation. And then he's like, you've been living a remarkable life these years. And because Chi-Rong has this weird obsession with his cousin, and it's amazing to see his expression. It's everything I wanted. I love it so much. Is it weird that Chi-Rong is almost as pretty, if not prettier, than Shilian? Is that weird to say? I feel like it's blasphemy to say that. Hua Chong would not be happy with me saying that, but they're so similar, right? Oh, everything about him. I could just stare for days at him. And then look at the statue I made you, and Hua Chong's like, I'm gonna kill him right now. And Shilian's like, it's fine, but, Now, I do think that there is some context lost when Shilian slaps Chi-Rong. I do think there's a little bit of context lost because if you're not reading the novel, you don't get to hear what Shilian is thinking about the whole situation. So I feel like some of the donghua onlys may not get the full context of Shilian slapping him and why that's such a big deal, or why it's, in character for him. So I don't know. It's very hard for me in the donghua to talk about some of these plot points because I'm like, gee. Also, it is so mind-blowing to me now knowing that the sword that Shilian is carrying around, Feng Xin, that sword is the sword that not only has stabbed Shilian hundreds of times, but is also the sword that was Junwoo's original sword, Zushin, and is just, oh my god, it's just blowing my mind that that's the sword, and it's been following Shilian around from the beginning, and it's just like, just mind-blowing, right? It's just blowing my mind that he's been carrying it with him this entire time. Every time I see this OP of this season and I see Junwoo kind of look at the camera like, bitch. I'm like, ah! I'm like, oh my god, no, we know. I feel like I'm part of a secret club now because I know all the things the donghua onlys do not, and it's amazing, right? Also, him calling Shilian a snow lotus is, because he's like, you black-hearted snow lotus. Like, I just love that he calls Shilian that. It's just amazing. And then I can kind of see the Lan Chu and Chi-Rong ship in the donghua. I can kind of see it. I still like Lan Chu with his little attendant. I think it's much more sweet and innocent. Chi-Rong, there's something about Chi-Rong that I like. Chi-Rong as a bachelor. I like him as like a homophobic homosexual. That he just doesn't understand the relationship with Shilian and Hua Chong, but he himself would probably be in a similar relationship if he'd just accept it. You know, it's kind of like Pei Ming wanting to be monogamous. But everything about this episode, it's one of my favorites. Now, I honestly don't mind the flashback. And I will tell you why, because I could feel some people are like, oh, why are we... Because in the novel, we don't spend a lot of time with the Lan Chu flashback. We don't spend a lot of time with it at all. And I could see how some people would be like, I don't know why we're taking up all this time. Kind of like the flashback in the last episode, taking up a little bit of time. Why we would need to do it here. My thing is, I kind of wanted in the novel a little bit more with Lan Chu and Shilian as the Goshi. I wanted a little bit more of it because I feel like we got a little bit of explanation, but there could have been more in the novel. And so I don't honestly mind this. I like seeing a little bit more about Lan Chu's perspective, about him as this impetuous younger man, and Shilian being like the stern Goshi and trying to mimic Mei Nianqing, who now I'm thinking about it, the colors that Shilian is wearing as the Goshi is exactly what I imagine Mei Nianqing wearing. So I wonder if he's going to look similar in season 3. I'm wondering. I'm very curious, right? I'm thinking of Bai Wusheng in season 3. Oh my god, I can't. If they animate Bai Wusheng on the little swing on Benzie Hill, like half as good as they animated this episode, I will freak the fudge out. I'm gonna have to preface in season 3. I'm gonna just have to preface that Bai Wusheng scares the shit out of me, and is one of my favorite villains. And so yes, but we'll cross that heavenly crossing bridge when we get to it, won't we? Won't we? Ha ha ha! References. Speaking of references, oh my god, I kept the little mask portion with the little masks that Shilian looks at. Okay, I didn't say it in the donghua only section because I was afraid to, but not only are they the fox and the ferret, they have the pearl earrings. The little red pearl earrings. Obviously the one that Hua Chong has the braid in his hair, and then the other one that Shilian wore as an earring before he gave it to Long Ying. I can't, y'all. I can't. It's really, really cute. And I definitely got with the woman that loses her purse and gets stolen, I for sure got Mo Dao Zushi vibes of the pink purse being stolen. All I could think of is Wei Wuxian like taking the pink purse and being like, look, Lanzan, look what I got. And him being like, Yeah, I feel like Shilian at times is this cross between Lan Wangji and Wei Wuxian in so many ways. And then Hua Chong is kind of the same. It's funny how they kind of teeter-totter between those characters. And I'm excited to get into Scum Villain because I have no clue what that dynamic is going to be about. You know, there's going to be a protagonist-antagonist duo, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Which will be fairly soon. So, but yeah, I really honestly like this little scene. What I wanted to see, though, was we have the guy smashing the plates. What I wanted to see was some guy smashing boulders on his chest. That's what I thought we were going to get, but I like the idea here that they're setting up the busking because the guy with the plates, and then we set up the Shilian's quite good at it, and picks up things rather easily because I think it's all going to come back around full circle when we get to it in the donghua, and it's just going to add those layers to that story. So again, I think that there's different things they can do in this little section that will come back later, like showing Shilian being naturally good at some of the busking that we will see later on. Also, I'm just going to point out, Shilian is quite graceful with his legs. He has proper ballet point, proper form, might I add. And the idea of him like jumping across the rooftops, that seems very similar to when he's going to jump down and catch Hua Chong as the child. So it seems like we're just doing plays and parallels with those moments that we're going to see later on. Also, if you look, the women of Shanla that are doing the tapestry, it's the little title card. They're doing the tree. That's the title card at the very end of the OP. That's what they're like doing the little thing about. I love it. And yeah, and I like this moment where Shi Lian tells Lan Chanchu, don't draw your sword to attack. Instead, he uses the sword sheathed to knock him down. Like, instead of using violence to kill, he just incapacitates until he can get the money back. And I love that. But again, we're building up the animosity between Shanla and Yongin in this. And who knew? At this point in the novel, I didn't realize how deep the Yongin and Shanla, like, animosity towards each other would go until we got to the flashback. And then it was like, oh. Also, Shi Lian saying once again that he was just in a mood and in a bad place back when he was the Goshi of Yongin 500 years after his second dissension. I'm like, Shi Lian, you being in an emo state for 500 years, I'm glad you got it out of your system, dude. Real glad. Oh my god. So yeah. But then we cut to Chi Rong. We cut to that little moment of Shi Lian watching over all the children. And it's going to hit harder when we see Shi Lian lose his kingdom. It's going to get hit harder where he's like, take care of your people. I wasn't able to take care of mine. And it all went to hell. Don't make the same mistakes I did. And when we see back Lan Chanchu where he's like, I'm not going to become like you, we see that he might have actually learned from his mistakes. Unlike Shi Lian. So, sad days. Oh my god, this episode though. Oh, I loved this so much. And seeing Chi Rong come, I'm like, what's he got in the sack? He's got something in the sack that's like moving around. It's weird. I don't remember what it is. But yeah, and then Anla. And he's so excited to see like his relation, one of the original royal family members. Oh my god. I am so excited for the rest of this season. If it's anything like this episode, I'm really, really excited. So yeah. I'm going to go take a bunch of screenshots of Chi Rong to share in the Discord along with Hua Chong because they were the best animated in the whole episode. But I really liked this episode. I hope you all did too. I cannot wait to hear your comments down below, but this was wonderful, and I'm so excited for episodes 10, 11, and 12. So, yay! Happy 2024! MXTX Monday, Don Mai Monday. It's just wonderful. So, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yes, I'll be back very soon with more of Heaven Official's Blessing.